Hi, good morning, everyone. Sorry about that. Took us a few extra minutes. Who's doing the second presentation, the Data Software 101? Do we have? No, yeah, I am. Okay, well, we'll still try to go pretty quick because I'm assuming that person will show up, so we'll make up time. If I haven't had a chance to meet you, my name is Phil Arcuria. I'm presenting with Diana. We work with the Actionable Analytics team. But we're really here sharing the work that's done by two teams, one on actionable analytics, our data mart team, and then also in ET, the EADS team, or the enterprise enriched data sets. So we're going to do a quick introduction on ASRs, then we're going to talk a little bit about how you can get this data. Who does not have any background whatsoever on ASRs? And that's totally fine. Okay, well, let's spend a little time on that. So you can think of ASRs as like an early alert system. So remember when you were a student and you'd be going through, and sometimes you might not get any feedback from your instructor until maybe your midterm. And by that time, it may be too late. So the idea between the ASRs is each week within a term, an instructor can provide a student feedback on how they're doing. It could be positive, it could be negative, it can be neutral. So four key components that comprise an ASR. What's required is that the instructor puts in a grade or status. Although in the data, I found some without that, so I'm not sure why that's the case. But technically, that's supposed to be required. Then they could also put in the reason for the ASR. So they could say that you've missed class a number of times. And then they can put in an action. So the action maybe show up to class. These aren't the exact descriptions. And then they could put in comments. Those aren't required fields. So sometimes you'll get ASRs that just have the grade or the status. Sometimes you will have them with actions, but no reasons, reasons with no actions, and comments with neither actions or reasons. One key component to know about ASRs is how they're entered into the system and when they're shared with students. So it's on a weekly basis. So Monday morning, a reporting window opens up. An instructor can submit ASRs at any point in time from that Monday to that Sunday evening. And then at the very end of Sunday, those all get submitted and they get sent to students and they'll populate in their MyASU. So if you've never seen it before, that little symbol on the screen there, that will show up next to their class if they've received an ASR. Unfortunately, I think they get that symbol regardless of whether the ASR is positive or negative, but that is the symbol that they will see. They'll click on it, and then they'll see what the actual ASR is, and it'll have all the information, when it was submitted, their grade, if there was any actions, reasons, or comments. Any questions about that? That's a kind of a high-level overview of ASRs. Okay. If you don't know Beth Landish, she's kind of the queen of ASR. So if you have any questions about the technicalities of ASRs or the process, she's a great resource. But we also have a few external facing pages on our website that are good. The one on the left is oriented for students. So look that over, and that's how we communicate ASRs to students. And on the right is the page for faculty. Both of them are great resources, though, just to give you more insights. And then also, if you're part of RWUG, there was a presentation done recently that goes over this that Josh Johnson did. Okay, so let's talk about data. So there's ASR data in PeopleSoft. It's been there for a while. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I pilfered these slides from Josh, but I just want to let you know there's been data on ASRs out in the warehouse for a while, but it's not the easiest to use. So what we did is, as part of the data mart, is we said, let's come up with a table that makes it a heck of a lot easier to use this data. And that is this table. It's in the student schema, and it's SA. SA is abbreviated for student analytics, and then ASRs. Okay, so what's the grain size? It's 1 row per ASR. And really, let me just get this all on the screen here, because I'll jump around. Really, it denormalizes the data to make it easy. If you go in the PeopleSoft tables, and let's say a student gets an ASR, and there's 5 reasons for that, and there's 4 actions, right? Then you're going to get 9 rows of data, and trying to bring that all together is a little complicated. So what this does is it denormalizes it. So now you're just going to get 1 row, and you'll see for that student, for that course, for that reporting period, here's all the actions, and here's all the reasons that they received. So much simpler. We only have data in there going back a certain time period because how ASRs were used and reported changed over time. And typically people are just most interested in the current term or maybe the last year. So we didn't do deep history there. We did some additional enrichment, like for the grade. We put a sentiment value in there so you could see, was the reported grade positive, negative, or neutral? And then also we created lists. So if a student receives multiple actions or reasons for a given ASR, it'll all be included in one field as a list. And that will be separated with a tilde, because that's our convention in the data mart tables. So a few notable fields before I get on this. The lists make it really handy. So let's say that you're interested in any student who got a good work was the reason for the ASR. So that's one of the ones they could. Then you could, use the list function, or if you're an Alteryx, the contains function on that field, and you can find any student who received an ASR for good work. Or if you want to see a student whose recommended action is go seek tutoring, you could do the same thing. So it's very easy to parse through that to find students who have received a specific action or reason. And I'll show you a list of those in a second. So some notable fields is the status of the reporting period. So you only want to report on reporting periods that have closed. So you don't want to be in that window when instructors are still submitting them, because students have not seen those yet and they could change. So you'll want to filter on that. It'll also say the start and the end date. It'll show the grade and the sentiment of that grade and those lists that I spoke of. Yeah, and descriptions. So it'll have both the codes and the descriptions. I'm not going to go over these, but I thought this would be helpful when you get our slides. Here's a list of all the reasons and all the actions, both the code and the descriptions. And I just pulled data for fall 22, just if you want to see what are some of the most commonly used reasons and actions, so you could see. So some are used very frequently, like inadequate or missed assignment, sorry. And then some are not, like the R21, the insufficient research. Okay, so now I'm going to hand it off to Diana. We've been working on a report. She's going to kind of walk you through some screenshots. But I want to give a shout out to Jason here, who was really helpful in helping us build this. So I really helped that.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Diana Ayala. I'm a business intelligence analyst with Actionable Analytics. And thank you for my team and part of my team and Phil and everybody. Thank you for coming. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, okay. So the ASR SSR report, we built that as, well, let me give you the background first. So we had people that were coming to us saying, we need this information, but they needed it like on a weekly basis. Any college, any department that is saying, hey, what's going on? We want to know what's going on with these ASRs. And so we thought, let's build something that at any time during the week, they can go in and they can grab the data for their college, their department, or even if it's just for a class. So the background on this one is we built within Report Builder, taking those tables that Phil had talked about earlier. We grab the data from those tables within an Alteryx workflow, combine them together, and then every Monday morning after the closing time of the previous reporting period, grab all the fresh data. It goes in on Monday, and then you guys have access to it for that week. Every Monday it updates. And so what we have here is a dynamic report. This dynamic report allows, based off of the parameters that you see up there, allows you to choose by term, session, college, and then it allows you to see any of the ASRs for whatever you choose. And you can go back and forth. You can go in and change the parameters. You can do a full reset, whatever works for you guys. So the first term, and by the way, when I say dynamic, it means that they use each other and they need each other's information. They build off of it. So when I choose term, it's only going to show the ASRs for that term. And then I'm going to go to session, and anything in that one session that or multiple sessions you choose, it's going to be for that term and for that session. So here we have the ability to choose multiple. You can choose whichever semester you want. You can choose all of them. It's going to show all the ASRs for that term or terms. The next, and you can see there's the session A, B, C, or DYN. Same thing, drop down, you choose which sessions you want. Click out, go to the next one, you have college. Scroll down, pick whichever college you're interested in. You can choose all if you want, but most of the time people are going to choose maybe one or two. And then the next one is going to be department. And like me, I don't know where all of the classes come from, so I'm going to sometimes pick multiple departments if I'm guessing, and that's totally fine. Or you can choose all. It's up to you if you're just looking for the college. Then you're given the subject. So in this example, you're given the Fulton Engineering, and then you're given Chemical Engineering Program. The only thing that you're going to see is whatever is available for that department in those classes for that department. So the dynamic part of it is whatever you choose, it's going to trickle down and drill down into it. So you choose which class or classes that you're interested in. And then the next one, it's going to show you the code as well. So now you can drill down into which specific class that you want for that session and for that term, and it'll show you everything for that. And then we have the output. Now, the one thing I would ask, if possible, if you guys see anything during this that stands out to you and say, hey, you know what, maybe if you change it, shift it, add something, or maybe a different parameter, it would be helpful to us. This is kind of the first formal iteration of this report. So any feedback that you guys give to us would be really helpful. So if you see anything that stands out, or even if it's just wording, naming, anything like that, we would really appreciate it. The last thing about this report, and I'm not too sure how many people are familiar with Report Builder, but you can actually customize and you can do a scheduled run of your report. So say, for example, I just want to look at these classes. I just want to see ASU 101, and I want to see it weekly and what is ever going on for those students for ASU 101. We can set up in the background a schedule for you based off of those parameters. Now, for security reasons, we can't send you the report in an email with the IDs. So what happens is we'll send you a report and it'll be in an email with a link. You go to that link and it'll send you straight to this report. Don't even have to put in the parameters. And then you do have the ability, and you can't see it on this slide, but when you're inside the analytics site, you have the ability to download, and you can do CSV, Excel. CSV is the most common, but there's different ways that you can download the data if you want to. And if that's something they're interested in, let us know. We can set up the scheduling for you as well. You don't have to do just one. We can do multiple ones as well. If your team or department needs multiple ones, we can set that out and schedule it for you. We have plenty of time, so if anybody has any questions or suggestions, we'd really appreciate it. So, any questions? Yeah. I would say if we have access to the data, then yeah, I mean, we should be able to. Are you talking about like maybe as a drop down, or yeah, so that would be like a parameter? Yeah, no, that's definitely something to consider. The other thing is we don't have to stick with this format. We can have multiple reports as well. So this may be one page that might be good output for some people. But if, you know, somebody like you who needs to do more like in groups, then yeah, that's something that we can build as well.
So the one challenge with student groups that we'll have to explore is there's so many of them. Yeah. So sometimes when you add it as a filter, it's just not very performant, right? It really kind of bogs down. But we could definitely explore that. Yeah, just shoot us a note. I think we have a slide at the end with our contact, or if not, just come out and just shoot us a note and we'll explore the feasibility. That's always the kind of the balance is how much can we put in there and still make it usable and perform well. We've already gotten feedback. Like if you see there the college, that is the college of the course, not the college of the student. So we've already gotten feedback of, well, really what I need to filter on is the student's college, not so much the course's college. So, you know, we'll be exploring adding that in there. So any other feedback along those lines would be great.
Yeah, and please, feel free to send us emails, Slacks. We would really appreciate any feedback with this because, like I said, this is the first time that we've actually, put this out. So we would really appreciate it. You don't need the mic?
So the sentiment, sentiment grade, is that match a sentiment grade scale there that's in that grade that has a grade table? Well, yeah, so
What Jason's referring to, if you haven't used it, there's a table out there called SA_grade, and it has a lot of helpful information about a grade. So if you want to see if a student got a grade in a class, is that grade a C or better? Is that a positive or a negative grade? And that's the same field that we use, or same logic for populating that. So good question, Jason. Is the other presenter here yet? Data Software 101. Does anyone want to improvise on sharing about Data Software 101? Okay. Yeah. So the link that Diana showed, that goes to our analytics site. So some of you probably already have access to our site. Some of you do not. If you're interested in the ASR report, go to that site and you should just get prompted. If you don't have access, you should get prompted with a little red button to request access. So just go ahead and do that. Like Diana said, is we're still cleaning it up and finishing a few things, and there's a few little naming things that we need to tweak, but should be ready and usable very soon. Any other questions or comments before we wrap up today? All right, well, great. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time. Bye.